Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Keeping Up with Montevallo Athletics. I'm your host, Caleb Brooks, joined by head volleyball coach at Montevallo, Coach Tena Niven, and Coach, your group just continues to roll this year. You felt good about this team going in, 8 seniors, a lot of experience, but that doesn't always translate into having a successful year. Your girls have been able to go out, execute, and play really good volleyball, and you have to be proud of what they've been able to do so far here in the regular season.
I am. We've had a few spots along the way. I wasn't here for the interview last week, but we started off with Vincent, which is a very good Vincent team. But we kind of struggled along the way. We beat them 3-2, which we should not have gone to that many games with them. But I was a little worried going into play Calera and Marbury. I was like, we're not playing very well. We're not playing together, and they just decided that they were going to get it done that day. We beat a very good Marbury team, and then they were able to defeat Calera again in a third set out of 2 out of 3, and to sweep Calera for the season. And that was a big confidence booster for them. And then this past week, we had Thorsby on Monday, which was senior night. We got a chance to honor all the seniors, and they got a good bit of playing time all together. And then we had 2 big area games that we really needed to win in order to host the area tournament. We wound up beating West Blockton on Tuesday, and then beat Bibb County 3-0 on Thursday, and just played just lights out. So it's exciting to get to host that area tournament. We've got a couple of big games coming up this week against Shelby County and Indian Springs, which will get us ready for the area tournament again. But right now, if they'll just play consistent and continue playing together, they can go a long way.
You see teams year after year where sometimes it takes a close game and it takes kind of having to come together at the end to really help spark them. Do you feel like that Vincent game may kind of be that for this team, where they had to kind of count on each other and pull it out late, and since then something's sparked and you guys just been playing great?
Yeah, well, it was one of those games. They know I'm very stubborn. I will not win at any cost, and sometimes I'll take a loss if it proves a point. And, we weren't playing very well, and I put some of my others in who don't get, quite as much playing time, and it was like, we're either going to do it or we're not. And we got 2 games down, and so we actually had to come back from a 2-game deficit to beat Vincent 3-2. And, after it was over, I was like, did we learn a lesson here? And they're like, yes, we all have to do it together. And I'm like, exactly. So that kind of kick-started. Luckily, it worked out. Sometimes as a coach, you're like, what am I doing? This is crazy. But you do hope that when you're trying to prove a point, that the point gets made and good things come from it. And so it just happened to work out this time.
When you look at this team coming together, things like that, how big was the Calera win? You had already beaten them one time this year, but to sweep them in the regular season, do you feel like that gave this team even more confidence going into area play this past week?
I think it did, because, there was not really, one person that shined. They all had big moments in the game, and that's kind of how it's been since then. Everybody has decided they've got to step up, and we now have, for example, in the Bibb County game where we played so well, 4 of our hitters all hit like 200 or better, which you're going to win a lot of ball games if you can do that. And so that was the first time all season. We've been talking about the fact of, we may have 1 player or 2 players that are kind of hot for the game, but what happens when we get a game where everybody is playing well? And that's kind of the games that we've had here lately. Everybody's beginning to play well together, and so we're getting good results from it.
Right here at the end of the regular season, we talked about at the beginning, it goes by quick. Postseason gets here really quick.
It does.
What are you and your team really having to focus on and work on the most now, getting prepared for the area tournament, and then hopefully a lot more volleyball after that?
Yeah, this week it'll just still be more about just being consistent, especially in the passing game, because that's where it all starts. If you can't pass, you can't do anything else. We'll do a lot on covering, because we'll begin to play some teams that will be able to block us a little bit better, and we need to be able to cover a little bit better. But so far, I'm happy with the level of play that we have. And I'm also happy, you know, with me being out with some health issues. My mom is still in ICU with some health issues. And so, you know, I've had to miss a couple of practices here lately where we really haven't had that much practice time. But they're still able to get in there with our assistant coaches and get some good work in. So I'm really proud of the fact that they have kept the level of play with me having to be out the way that I have.
You got to feel like having a veteran team has played a big part in that, and them, you know, they've played a lot of varsity ball in their careers, and so they understand what's expected of them, what's expected at practice. Do you feel like that's really helped with some of the situations that are going on?
Oh, it definitely does. There's a lot of things where I've had to, in the past, had to micromanage, you know, finding people who's willing to call lines for the JV game, stuff like that. I haven't had to do that all year. They do that on their own. They go, hey, we got to have those two get out there, call lines, whether it's cleanup, whether it's getting ready for the ball game. I don't have to do any of that because they are, you know, so mature, and they are a veteran team, and they know what has to be done. So they just do it without me having to ask, which is nice.
Yes, ma'am. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time again this week
Thank you.
to join us here on Keeping Up Montevallo Athletics, and good luck to y'all. Really looking forward to getting this thing started with postseason right around the corner.
I know, me too.
Welcome back in, Keeping Up with Montevallo Athletics. Caleb Brooks, and I'm joined by head football coach, Coach Blake Boren. Coach, you and your team went up to Sipsey Valley this past week, and you know, look, that's a school that has been growing over the past couple of years. They're a new school there, and you guys have to make an hour-and-a-half long bus ride up to Sipsey Valley. Just tell me a little bit about that trip for you guys, and what were some of the things that Sipsey Valley was able to do really well to give you guys some trouble on Friday night?
Well, you're right about it growing. You know, when we get there, they had an incredible facility. It was my first time being there, and they broke in their new turf on Friday night. You know, again, I think every school in Tuscaloosa County now is either in the process of redoing their stadium or getting turf. They finished theirs. It's a great venue for high school football. It's really a neat atmosphere the way it sits down in the bowl. You know, sometimes when you're planning facilities, and all that goes into like the level of importance, and you know, they had a bunch of kids out, but you know, great stadium and really good locker room facilities, and so it's a neat place to play a game, and they are growing, and the community's growing, and you know, all that builds on success. And so I think for sure, you know, especially in this region, they're going to have an opportunity to be competitive. Coach there is doing a great job. You know, two coaches on that staff played for us at Faulkner, and Caleb Kuykendall is one, and Trey White was a running back for us as well. So a lot of familiar faces there. Coach Milligan does a good job, and expect them to do really good things in the future.
Tell me a little bit about their football team, and you know, what were they able to do really, really well on Friday night as a group?
They have a really good quarterback. You know, I think he's committed to Auburn and playing baseball, and very rarely in high school do you have a quarterback that can be on one side of the field and push the ball vertically down the field on the far hash. You know, that's more seen in the college professional game. He can do that. I mean, he can throw it as far and with as much velocity as anybody we've played. And so they have a phenomenal receiver, really difficult. You know, we were in some good spots coverage-wise, and you know, he was made some really good contested catches. And again, a lot of that goes back to the quarterback's ability to throw the ball with velocity and accurately, you know, across the field. And so they did a great job on offense, and obviously they were really good on defense Friday night as well.
Well, what were they able to do defensively that gave you guys trouble in being able to score consistently on Friday night?
They just played hard. You know, they played hard, and you know, they were able to equate guys with numbers on the back end, and they were still good in the box with a lighter box than what you normally get. So, you know, I thought they had a really good game plan, and they've gotten better week to week. You know, they came out and struggled a little bit early, and they've sort of found their rhythm, and they're playing well down the stretch. And I think they'll continue to play well down the stretch.
Weren't able to do a show last week, so when you look back at Jemison, that was a very physical game against a 5A opponent and all of that. Did that have any effect in lingering over into last week for you guys?
No, I don't think so. You know, Jemison is, you know, every week you move forward, and you know, you sort of think about it for a day or so, but you have to move on, and you have to go on to the next week. So no, I don't think Jemison had much of an effect on what we did.
Looking at the trip up to Sipsey Valley, what were some of the positives that you felt like y'all are going to be able to take and build off of over these last couple of weeks?
I think Christian Talbert played a great game. He took a curl route, 80 yards early in the game, had an explosive run. It was really nice to see Anthony Martin back. I think he ran for 150 yards. You know, we've missed that the last 2 weeks. And Christian also had a great kickoff return in the second half that opened the scoring in the second half. And so we had some really good individual performances. We have to play better as a team, and hopefully we'll do that with the last 4 games.
You talk about having to play a little bit better as a team. Is it more, is it playing together as a group? Is it guys being on the same page as a group? I mean, what are some of the things you feel like that they need to do better as a whole entire team?
I think, just playing the way they're capable of playing. Obviously football is about blocking and running and tackling, and obviously we need to tackle better on defense. We gave up 33 points, I think, Friday night or whatever it was. And we got to get back to scoring points on offense, and that's something we haven't done a whole lot of the last couple of weeks. So collectively as a group, everybody contributes to that.
When you have a game like that where you kind of get behind and, we've talked about it, you don't have a ton of depth, you got a lot of guys playing on both sides, how much more difficult does that make it to try to come back in a game and get back in a game when you don't have guys there to make adjustments all the time on the sidelines and things like that?
I think it's just part of football. I don't know that it has really an impact on anything. We actually went up midway through the third quarter. We had a timely turnover late when we had a fumble that would have made it a 2-possession game. And so I don't know that we ever really down. Sometimes when you get down, it snowballs on you a little bit. I think that was what happened Friday night. There was a really charged up atmosphere. And again, I go back to the atmosphere. It's one of the neatest stadiums we played in, and it was their first game, and it was their homecoming. And so, you really have to be on top of it when you get into those types of atmospheres. And we sort of got the triple whammy with new stadium and the homecoming and all that. And so they made a few more plays down the stretch than we did, but we go back and watch tape and try to learn from it and move on.
Tell me a little bit about this week and, what are going to be some of the improvements that you want to see this group build off of from last week going into this Friday night?
Yeah, we're really excited about Cam Goins was released back from an ACL tear. That's had a huge impact on us. He's a phenomenal player. He's made a ton of explosive plays here over 3 years. He was cleared late last week for return to contact, and so he tore his ACL in the spring game, and I think he was able to complete his rehab in 5 months. Almost unheard of. Worked really, really hard, and to come back and be cleared at this point in the year, we're excited to watch him play. And so that's one of the things we're looking forward to. Bibb County is one of the best teams we've played. They're the best football team we've played, period, this year. And they're a really physical group, and they're always that way. And so we'll have to really be on top of it Friday night. But we are looking forward. I think it's great to have Cam back and to give him an opportunity to get some sort of a senior year. I know he's excited about that, and we'll look to use his versatility, and his ability on offense and in space, and hopefully have a better go of it.
When you have a guy that comes back middle of the season like that, is coming off an injury, do you put him on a snap count? Do you, how do you handle getting him back in there and dealing with that during the middle of the season?
Yeah, it's a personnel thing. So we'll have some personnel packages where we can get him in and out of the games maybe a little bit easier than if he were just every down running back or every down receiver. We'll use him in a variety of ways. I mean, you'll see him in the backfield. You'll see him out wide at receiver. He started at safety for us on defense in the past. He started as one of our rovers or star safeties for us, and so he's an extremely versatile player. And there's four games left in the regular season, so we want to allow him to have his the most meaningful impact he can have. But we still need to be cognizant of the knee. And but medically, when you come back from those things now, I mean, in some ways your knee can be stronger than what it was before. So it's really just making sure that he eases his way back into the contact and back into the speed of the game.
You talked about how dynamic he is and things like that. Where can he really change this team during the middle of the season coming back?
Well, he can do a lot of things. He's explosive with the ball in his hand, and so as we went into the spring practice, we looked a lot different offensively then than we did now, and a lot of that was because of his flexibility in both carrying the football and as a receiver. And so we're going to try to pick up really where we started to go with it in the spring. And you'll see him on perimeter outside zone sweeps, and he's tremendous in the screen game, and he's a really good slot receiver. So obviously the game's not about one person at all. We all have to play collectively group, but anytime you get players back who can be weapons, it's exciting, and we're hopeful that carries over to Friday.
Think it's any kind of advantage for you guys that Bibb probably doesn't even know much about his injury, doesn't know about what him coming back this week, anything like that, to where you guys can slip him in there and maybe surprise them a little bit?
We've played them well for 2 years, or we've played them now for 2 years, and they have a great coaching staff, one of the best coaching staffs in the region. Coach Gohagan is really well thought of in the state. They play a really difficult schedule, and so I don't think it's an advantage. I mean, we are what we are, and our identity has been very consistent here the last couple of years on what we try to do offensively and defensively. And so, I think for them, they'll just go out and do what they have done well, and they're really, really good, and they're really, really talented. And this Bibb County team is the most explosive of any of the teams that I've seen over the last 2 years. They were really good 2 years ago when we first got here. They had a running back that went to UCLA, but they just kind of wore you down and beat you down methodically. this group can score from anywhere on the field. They can be backed up inside their own 10, and they can throw a post route, and they can take it 90. And so they're electric offensively. They're always great defensively. Coach Gohagan does a great job mixing his coverages and mixing the looks on defense. And so, no doubt, biggest challenge we've had all year, the best team we've played all year.
How important are these, next 3 weeks for you guys and the goals that you have in getting to the postseason and having opportunity there?
Yeah, we're 500 in the region right now, so if we take care of our business, we can finish anywhere from 4-2 to whatever it falls. And so everything we want is still right here in front of us. Very difficult week with Bibb County. We play Holt. We still have ACA left to go with 3 region games left. So, we go to Tuscaloosa twice, which is always a challenge. We get Bibb County at home, but we are right in the middle of it, and hopeful that we get a good showing on Friday night and carry that on the next 3 weeks before we finish out the last game of the year at Tena.
What are your biggest keys for Friday night in this team?
Just trying to be consistent. Obviously, we need to run the ball. We're going to have to be effective throwing the football. We don't want them to, put numbers on the perimeter and beat us with a light box. That makes it tough. So again, we have to do what we need to do every week, and that's, we've got to play great defense. We're going to have to figure out a way to slow down the explosive plays. Explosive plays are what score points. You can go and look at the NFL or college. Explosive plays are really what contributes to success offensively. So we'll need to limit those, and we need to have a few explosives of our own. We had one Friday night against Mississippi Valley, and on the offensive side of it, we had an explosive play in the kicking game, and so we need to tack a few more of those on to be successful.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, good luck to you guys this week. Really looking forward to seeing how things go for y'all, and look forward to being right back here next week, be able to recap.
Yep, sounds good. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Welcome back in here, keeping up with Montevallo Athletics. Caleb Brooks now joined by head cross-country coach, Coach Beth House. And, Coach, for y'all, like we were talking about a little bit beforehand, this is a smaller school, and not all schools at the 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A level even have enough that can come out and have a cross-country team. Y'all are fortunate enough to have that. But what are some of the difficulties of not having a ton of runners and not being like a 7A program that's got 25, 30 kids out? Well, what are some of the more difficult parts of trying to have a team at the 4A level here?
Well, here so many of our kids participate in multiple sports, so it is hard, just to have enough for a team. And at cross country, when you go to a meet, you have to have 5 runners to qualify for a team score. This year, that's rarely happening for us. Usually, because I have several multi-sport athletes right now, and so usually it's just individual scores that we're looking at and looking for progress each week on an individual basis.
When you have that happen, does it make it more difficult to get kids to buy into the team concept of everything, and when they know, hey, really it's just up to me to go out there and do stuff for myself,
It is, absolutely, because they would like to see that team score, so they really have to be, internally motivated to push themselves, just to better themselves every week. With being so small this year, there's a few times where we've had enough for a team score, and they really like seeing that, to see how they match up against other schools in our area. But I have seen a lot of progress just with them, trying to push themselves. And I've got, 3 boys that are pretty much the same speed this year, and so just watching them work and push each other to do better at every meet, even if we're not going to have a team score, has been, pretty cool to watch.
No seniors this year.
It's weird.
Got done talking with Coach Niven. She's got 8 of them,
Yeah.
and talks about veteran leadership. What are
Right.
some of the difficulties of not having seniors and not having a ton of veteran experience on this group?
Right. That is hard, because I've had really strong seniors the past 2 years who just provided very good team leadership. I have several juniors who are really stepping in to that role, who are willing to, they finish their workout and they'll go back and help push the younger kids, or, the teammates that are not quite as fast. And so the juniors really are stepping up. So I think we'll have, next year an even stronger team based on their work this year.
When you have, kids doing multi-sports, things like that, how often are they able to come out and practice running and doing things, and where does that kind of give them a disadvantage running against some of the other people?
Right. you know, because schools with bigger teams, you know, they're there practice 5 days a week, and there's, you know, sometimes I'm happy to get to see them, you know, at 2 practices during the week, and actually had a conversation with a runner on Saturday at the meet that she had started her other sports practices. She kind of struggled a little bit on Saturday, and so I asked her, I was like, you know, you probably need to talk to your coach, see if you can come at least 1 or 2 practices, because I think you'll be more comfortable at the meets. That being said, I still want them to come run and participate, and they are still working out. It's just not quite the same. You know, going and running 3 miles is a little different than, you know, working out for volleyball.
Yeah. You know, would you talk about having runners that can't come out all the time, things like that? Where does that probably hurt their endurance and things like that more than anything?
Absolutely, it does. The ones that are really internally motivated, though, are still running on their own, and we talk about it outside of practice about what they're doing, what they should be doing. And so the ones that, you know, I've got one, because middle schoolers are running with us this year, and I've got one middle schooler that is getting up at 4:30 in the morning to run and practice, because he also plays football. And so I only see him 1 day a week, but he's really internally motivated to, you know, to get better and be better.
Yeah, and you got to love that. I mean,
You
that's
do.
a great example for everybody else.
Exactly.
And, yeah, so, you know, looking at the rest of the season for y'all, what is ahead? How many more meets do y'all have leading up to the state meet?
We have this Saturday, we are at Helena, and then the next Saturday at Hewitt-Trussville, and then the area meet is on Thursday, October 27th in Tuscaloosa, and the qualifying for state, the top 4 teams will qualify that day, and I won't have enough for a team score, I don't think. But then the next 6 runners that are unattached to a qualifying team can qualify to run at state. So like last year, I had a senior who qualified for state and had a freshman who since transferred to another school. But I'm hopeful that we might have 1 or 2 qualify for state this year. I think next year the picture looks pretty good to get more runners to state.
When you look at the next couple of weeks, what is the most difficult part? You know, we talk about multi-sport athletes. Football's
Right.
getting late in the season.
Right.
Volleyball's getting late in the season,
Right.
and you have some that do both those. So where does that make it more difficult for them as they get close to their postseasons, y'all approach your postseasons, and how you manage all of that?
It's really just where they decide to prioritize, because they've got to be at practice to get faster, or they really have to be motivated to run outside of practice on their own, because, you know, now's when you decide how much you want it, and decisions being made about whether you can get there or not, because we can still gain a little bit more speed, and I've got some people that if they could gain 30 seconds to a minute on their time, then they would stand a chance at qualifying for state.
You know, with the team aspect and all of that, the encouragement, and I've talked with a lot of other teams about how they encourage each other and they're able to get a strategy and things like that. Is that maybe not there as much for y'all because it is more individualized with the team this season?
Right. It's really mapping out with each runner what their goal is for that race, and we've been successful in runners meeting their goals or beating them. This last weekend we were at Jesse Owens in Moulton, Oakville, Alabama, and I had 3 or 4 runners that absolutely crushed their goal, like minute and a half faster,
Awesome.
which, you know, it's a lovely course and it was perfect weather conditions, but that was pretty big. If we could make that much of a jump the next couple of weeks, state could be a possibility for more of us.
One of the biggest things I hear from runners all the time is just that feeling when you finish at the end. And do you think that's probably the biggest thing that brings these kids back, you know, meet after meet? Because running 3 miles, it's not easy.
No, it's
I mean,
not-
I
it's
try
not
to do it, and I'm not very good at it. So.
It's not an easy task, and I think when they have their goals and they beat their goals, I think that keeps them coming back and just wanting to see that improvement every week. And they are, supportive to one another and encouraging them, even though we don't have a team score. It's like, did you beat your goal this week? What are you going to do this week to get better? They talk to each other like that and pushing each other at practice to get better.
Coach, really appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Keeping Up Montevallo Athletics. Good luck to y'all over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we can have you back here soon to kind of keep us up to date with what's going on with your team. And we wish all of your runners nothing but luck over these next few weeks.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, sir. Welcome back in. Keeping Up with Montevallo Athletics. Caleb Brooks, joined by a senior member of the football team, R.J. Smith. And R.J., for you guys, we came and talked to you guys at the beginning of the year, and your senior class talked a lot about wanting to leave a great legacy here and things like that. When you look at this season for you guys, obviously there's been some up and down moments, but just kind of describe this season for me and how you felt about the way that this team has just continued to fight week after week.
It's been a bumpy ride, but as a team, we're ready to take the season and go faster and compete against these better teams in our region, and hopefully get a playoff spot.
One of the things when you go through some down times in a year, you get to find out a lot about your team, the character of your team, the fight that your team has. What has these last couple of weeks really shown you about this group?
It's shown how physical we are against some top teams in the state. It shows us how good our run game is, our defense, how we've been able to stop teams from scoring, and things like that.
When you look at what's ahead for you guys, as seniors, how much are you guys having to really stress the importance of, hey, we've got to really lock things in, we've got to figure things out if we want to get to where we want to get to this year?
Yeah, we're telling the younger guys we got to lock in throughout the week, practice, move around fast, stay locked in, just stay focused on the field, and hopefully we'll come out with the wins that gets us to the playoffs.
How have you really felt about your individual performance this year and the way that you've been able to play so far throughout the season?
I felt I've been doing good. I've been helping the team where they need to be helped at. Basically doing my job, holding down the middle, stopping the run, stuff like that.
One of the things I've talked with Coach Boren about is, due to being a smaller team, it's harder to get as good of looks in practice and things like that. A lot of the guys that are starting on the offensive line then move over and start on the defensive line when y'all want to go ones versus ones or anything like that. Playing the line position, I played it. That's probably where that type of stuff matters the most. Where does that probably cause the biggest issues on Friday nights with not getting as good of looks during the week just because you're just not able to?
We still got good looks because we're playing both sides. So we're going against the starting D line, going against the O line. So we're really doing good at most of the looks in practice. But just a lot of guys with not as much experience going against them on scout. So it's a lot different from Fridays, but we'll just have to work with it.
You play on both sides of the balls. Where's that probably been the toughest thing throughout the season?
Just the speed. Different guys, they faster on the run game, and also holding the D line. Some guys are bigger, so it's just harder to stop the run. But I just stick with it and then stay solid.
How much more difficult does it make to make adjustments, drive by drive during a game when, you get done with an offensive series and you're right back out there on the defensive series and you're not able to kind of be on the sidelines talking with your offensive line and working things out?
It's troubling, but that's what comes with playing 4A ball. We got to play both sides and just keep winning and just do better. And the conditioning we did during the summer, it helps us a lot with going play after play. So I guess that's just what we got to do, play both sides.
Tell me a little bit about this past week in Teasia Valley. What were some of the things that they were able to do to give you guys some trouble on Friday night?
They were a very strategic team. They knew what they wanted to do with us. They wanted to slow us down at the middle and run outside. And on offense, I think they just wanted to keep us inside and not as much pass game. But I think it was a real physical game on our part, but we just couldn't come out with the win.
Where do you really feel like y'all need to have the biggest improvements now going into this week?
Defense, but also offense. Just a pass game, and just mental mistakes, bust coverages, and picks and turnovers on offense.
So we're going to do the get to know you part of the interview now. And first off, just tell me what your favorite food is and how often are you eating that food?
I'm going to have to go with steak. Steak's probably the top thing.
How often do you get to eat steak?
Probably once a week. It's a good protein.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, good thing to eat for the week.
Is there a favorite steak restaurant that you like going to, or would you rather just put it on the grill and eat it at home?
Probably Texas Roadhouse.
Okay.
They make good steak.
Yeah. What about, do you have a TV show or anything like that you're currently watching or that you just finished watching?
The Dahmer series is pretty good. It's interesting, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, Teasia gave the same answer, so y'all are both watching the same thing. What about favorite subject here in school?
Probably going with history, or government actually. It's pretty fun. It's interesting. We get to learn about new stuff every day.
Do you have a favorite movie or genre movie, an actor, or anything like that?
I'm gonna have to go with Thunderstruck with Kevin Durant. That's a great movie.
Okay.
I'll
Awesome.
always watch it. Can't never get tired of it.
What about a favorite music? You know, what are you listening to get yourself focused and pumped up for a game on Friday?
Lil Double O and NBA YoungBoy. Just that's the basic stuff. Really everything.
Okay. What has made being a part of Montevallo Athletics special for your high school career and getting to do this?
It's just a fun time. You know, small community, family. Everybody knows everybody. So it's just everyone comes to the game. It's a great atmosphere and just great place to go to high school.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, RJ, appreciate you taking the time to join me here on Keeping Up Montevallo Athletics. Good luck to you guys the rest of this season.
Right.
Welcome back in, Keeping Up with Montevallo Athletics. Caleb Brooks now joined by Teasia Purnell, senior member of the volleyball team at Montevallo. And, Teasia, it's been a great season for y'all. Y'all have now locked up the regular season area championship. You're going to be hosting the area tournament. And I know coming off last year, that was a big goal for this team, was to get back to hosting area, claim this area in the regular season. How proud are you of this group, and how fun has this season been so far for y'all?
Well, for starters, this is my last year playing with all my teammates, so it's kind of a bittersweet moment, and I'm just glad I get to do it with them. And it's been a goal ever since the season started to host the area championship, so we've come a long way, but we're doing great.
Tell me a little bit about these last couple of weeks. It really feels like y'all are starting to play your best volleyball here at the right time of the season. What's helped this group really come together?
For one, we had this team meeting, and it gave us a chance to bond and, get stuff off our chest that we need to get off. And by us doing that, I feel like that's opened up, I want to say opportunities, but I don't know, it's just sparked something in our team to make us way better than what we are.
8 seniors on this team. Only 6 can be out there on the court at one time. And so how much has this group really had to buy into everybody having their role and everybody buying into what their role is on this volleyball team?
It's been a lot. At practice, we've been going hard. People have been trying to earn spots on the court. Even if we don't earn spots on the court, they're always there to support us on the bench, and that's a big part in it too.
Yeah, I mean, with me talking volleyball teams over the last couple of years, the bench has really been a focus and having energy in them. How have you felt about the way that the bench has provided energy for this team and been in every game?
I feel like our bench makes our team, because when they're energized, we're energized, and we play way better when they're with us. So it feels like they're on the court with us even though they're not, so it's a big part.
Sweeping Calera here in your senior year, just tell me how big that was and how important that was to y'all's group as seniors.
Calera is one of our biggest rivalries. It's been big. We've been going at them for a while, so it felt good.
Do you feel like that even gives more confidence now in this group and what y'all can go and accomplish in the postseason?
Absolutely. Give us a big jump in confidence.
What are really the biggest improvements you feel like this team's going to need to make over the next couple of weeks to get ready for the postseason?
I just feel like team chemistry. That's the big thing. We have the ability and we have the athleticism, but it's just team chemistry. So yeah.
We're going to do the get to know you part now here of the interview. And so first off, just tell me what your favorite food is, and then how often do you eat that as well?
So my favorite food is seafood, and I eat that probably 3 times a month. It's delicious.
Do you like it better when it's fresh, like when you're down
Yes.
at the beach and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to get that up here. Yeah.
But there's one in Pelham. They're pretty good too.
Yeah, no, they do have a good place there.
Yeah.
What about your favorite? Is there a TV show that you're watching right now, or a favorite TV show that you always go back to? Anything like that?
I just finished the Jeffrey Dahmer series, and that's been my favorite so far. But other than that, I don't really watch TV like that. So yeah.
What about movies or anything? Is there a favorite movie or a genre movie, an actor or actress, anything?
I would say genre, especially horror. It's my favorite. I
you
love
like
scary
horror?
movies. Yeah.
What about you watching that Smile movie that just came
Oh
out?
yeah, we're going to see that this weekend.
Okay, awesome. What's your favorite subject here in school?
Currently, nothing. No, I'm just playing. I would say math. Math's always been my favorite. I just love it so much.
Even with the imaginary numbers and all that getting in there?
It's tough though.
What are your plans after you graduate this year?
So after I graduate, I plan to go to Jeff State to major in nursing, and after that, I'll transfer to UAB and finish off there.
Awesome, good
Yeah.
plan there. Just tell me what makes being a part of Montevallo Athletics special to you. What has made, having this opportunity to be a part of this volleyball program, be a part of athletics here, a special thing?
Well, I've been going to Montevallo ever since I was in kindergarten. So just being here, it just feels right, because this is my home. This is where I grew up at, so special.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, good luck to y'all the rest of the year this year.
Thank you.
Really look forward to seeing how things go for y'all.
Thank you.